Hello and welcome to episode number 5 in the Let's Build Shadowgate series. In our last episode, we put on an open door graphic and allowed the user to click on the door to transition to a picture of an open door. We're going to take it a little bit further today and add the code that allows the user to enter the door. Now really what we have to have is the door has two options. If it's closed and the user clicks on it, the door is going to be open. If the door is already open and it's clicked on again, the game should transition to the next screen. So we're going to add some code to our screen 1 click handler that allows the user to enter the door. We're going to add some variables that allow our program to know whether or not the door has been opened, and generally kind of clean up our code a little bit and add some comments. When we're done with this video right here, the user should be able to start the game, open the door, and then enter hallway number 2. So that's where we're heading in episode number 5 of Let's Build Shadowgate. Let's head on over to Alice and let's get started. So here we are back in Alice. If I hit play, you can see where we finished off last episode. We have the start screen here. The user is able to press space to transition to the start of the game. And then clicking anywhere on the screen doesn't do any good, but if you click on the door itself, the door should open up. So that's where we're at with the programming right now. Since I'm opening Alice for the first time in a while, I'm going to want to open the screen 1 handler so I can look at it. In addition, I'm going to go into the world, take a look at my variables, and I'm going to watch my X, Y, and game screen variables. Now, my next goal is to allow the user to click on the door and enter the first hallway of our game. To do this, I'm simply going to build on a check that we already have. We have this check right here that checks to see if the front door was successfully clicked on. When that happens, instead of immediately opening the door, I want to do a check to see if the door has already been opened. So I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to keep all my variables as world level variables for this example. But in my world object, I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to call it door1 open. And that's going to be a Boolean variable that starts with a value of false. In order to accomplish this, I'm going to just build on a check that we already have. Inside the screen 1 handler, it's already checking to see if the door has been clicked on. What I want to do is add a second if check that then determines whether or not the door has been opened. To do that, I'm going to have my world selected. I'm going to create a new variable, and it's going to be called door1 closed. It's going to be a Boolean variable set to true. What this means right now is when my game starts, door1 closed will be set to true, letting the game know that door1 is starting in the closed position. Now that I have that variable in place, I need to add a second if check. And I'm going to do it after I've determined whether or not the door has been clicked on. So I'm going to put a placeholder value of true here, and then immediately drag over the door1 closed variable to this check. This second if check will check to see whether or not the door has been opened or not. The door is going to start in the closed position, and of course if the door is clicked on, then we're going to have it open. And we've already written that code, so I'm just going to drag it up there. You shouldn't see a change in the way your program works right now. When you click on the door, when you click on screen 1, it's going to check to see if you're on the door. If you're on the door, it will then check to see if the door has been closed or not. So if I hit play and enter my game, you can see everything looks the exact same to the user, except now we have this door1 closed variable set to true. When I click on the door, it still opens. The only change I need to make to my program is after the door is open, I want to let that variable know that the door has been opened. So I'm going to add door1 closed set value to false over a duration of 0 seconds. So now when the door opens, that variable that lets me know when the door is open should be set to false. If I hit play now, I can see that the door is closed, but when I click on it, the door is no longer closed. So that variable controls whether or not the door is opened or not. This has the effect of changing this if check. The first time we click on the door and it's closed, the door will open, but then that variable will change to false. Every time I click on the door after that, the else block of this if check will be executed because door 1 closed is no longer true. Transitioning to our second screen shouldn't be that much of a chore now. All I need to do is add that code here. So I'm going to drag a do together block in there. And the first thing that happens when the user clicks on the open door is that the door open screen 1 should be set to false. So I'm going to go to door open for screen 1 and set its isShowing property to false over a duration of 0 seconds. That's because as soon as the user clicks on this open door, this screen should disappear and the hallway should open up. Let's test this before we go any further by hitting play, entering the world, clicking on the door once, seeing that the door is opened and our variable is changed, clicking on it a second time, and seeing that the screen now disappears. I need to add that hallway now. So in the graphics pack, we need to import the billboard of the screen 2 hallway with the door closed. So I'm going to go to File, Make Billboard, and I've got mine in my Alice 2.4 directory under Shadowgate tutorial. So let's look for screen 2 with the door closed. That got imported into my world, and now I'm going to turn this screen with the door closed off and position this screen. So I'm going to have it turned to face the camera. And now I'm going to resize it so that it fits the full length of my screen. So let's see, that's right about there. And then move it up so that the white, or that yellowish line at the top is just 1 pixel from disappearing. So I want it right there. That's going to represent the hallway in the second screen that my user is able to enter. Now that I have that positioned, I'm going to set its isShowing property to true over a duration of 0 seconds when the user clicks on the open door, essentially turning off the open door and turning on this hallway. If I immediately hit play, you'll see I've got that bug back where the world kind of transitions to 2 screens. And that's because when I hit play, this hallway screen is still visible. To fix that, I'm going to go into my first method, as I've done with every other screen. Select screen 2, door closed, and set its isShowing property to false over a duration of 0 seconds so that it turns off with every other screen when we hit play. When I hit play now, I've got the title screen, I can open the door, and I can transition into the hallway. That's perfect. With that set up, there's a couple of infrastructure things that we want to set up in our game so that we can continue building from where we're at now. So let's open up the click handler method that we wrote earlier and take a look at that. You can see that our screen 1 handler only works when the game screen equals 1. When we transition to this hallway screen, our game screen equals 2, and essentially we would break our game. You couldn't click on anything because the game screen will never be equal to game screen number 1 again. But we can fix that. We're going to add a new method, and we're going to call this screen 2 handler. Now the purpose of this method will be to handle all the clicks that could occur on this screen and only this screen. Now that we have kind of a placeholder for our screen 2 handler, let's go back to the click handler here, which runs anytime the mouse is clicked on anything. We're going to add a new if check to this list and put in a placeholder value of true, and then immediately override it with a game screen check. So select world, go to your properties, and check to see if game screen equals 2. If the game screen equals 2, then we're going to run this click 2 handler. So I'll drag that into the... We're going to add a new if check to our click handler. So drag if and put in your placeholder value, and let's check if the game screen equals 2. If the game screen equals 2, then we're going to run this new screen 2 handler that we just wrote. Now it still won't do anything, but now everything that has to do with this screen that we're looking at right here, we can do in the screen 2 handler. And that right there is where we're going to end episode number 5 of the Let's Build Shadowgate series. As it stands right now, you should have the ability to start the game, open the front door, and enter the first hallway of the game. You should also have variables that run in the background that allow you to check that this is all going according to plan. Most notably, a game screen that is 0 on the title screen, 1 on the front of the castle, and 2 in this hallway, along with a Boolean variable that keeps track of whether or not the door has been opened in the first game screen. As we move on through episode number 6 and beyond, we're going to give the user the ability to open this door that you can see on game screen number 2. We'll probably add a sword or something that they can pick up so they can use it later in their adventure, and do some code cleanup and some error checking to make sure that our program is bug-free. But all that will be in future episodes. As always, if you have any questions about anything we did in this episode right here, or something's not working for you, leave those in the comments and I will certainly help you out any way that I can. But hopefully this is making sense and you're excited with where we're going with this program. Thank you for your support of both the Alice tutorial series and the Let's Build Shadowgate series. I'll see you next time and have a great day.